Part 31. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Jonghu Buletinjian. Chapter 301. After Xieting Zhou left the hotel, he met with Brother Biao's people. Unexpectedly, Brother Biao, who had been busy all night, was also there. After all, Xieting's whose affairs were handed over by Liang Chejun, so Brother Biao was very enthusiastic. It can be said that Xieting Zhou greeted people. Coming. Brother Biao, I didn't expect to bother you again in the afternoon. You didn't sleep, right? Otherwise, you go back and rest first. I'll take your people to deal with some things and then wake up. Seeing Brother Biao, Xieting Zhou also knew the other person's good intentions and expressed concern. It's okay. I don't have the strength to stay up for one day. I can stay up for 3 days and 3 nights. I remember when I was a special forces soldier and went out to do work. I didn't close my eyes for 7 days and 7 nights. I just turned defeat into victory, brother. Your body and bones are in good condition. Patting his chest, Brother Biao is a bold and careful person. After all, those who can join the special forces have very fast combat methods and brains. When he saw Xieting Zhou calling people, he knew that there was something else. Okay, then I'll trouble Brother Biao. Xieting Zhou nodded, knowing that saying anything else would seem a bit unintimate, so he stopped talking. The destination of the car was naturally the Xie family's house. Brother Biao and the others had been there once before, and this time they were familiar with the house. This time they followed Xieting Zhou inside, and found a few brothers to follow Xieting Zhou, and together they arrived to lock up Xieting Zhou. The place where parents and Xieting Yu live. When he opened the door, he saw that 3 adults and 1 child were still inside. Because of Xieting Zhou's threat, the 3 adults did not dare to move. If they were afraid of Xieting Zhou because they were afraid of losing everything now, then they were afraid of Xie Yun because they were there. After going through that, I felt that Xie Yun was really crazy. If Xie Yun wasn't crazy, why would he treat them like that? So even if they were bruised, there was nothing they could do, let alone call the police. After calling the police, they would be able to deal with it, but if Xie Yun was really crazy, it would be normal for him to do even more terrifying things. The 3 of them were all afraid. Pull the 3 of them out. It has been a day and a night since this family was locked up last night. It is now 2 o'clock in the afternoon. There is no bathroom in this room, so there is inevitably a smell of urine. The brothers who came with them all covered their noses, but still pulled 3 people out. What are you doing? Xieting Zhou, what are you doing? Do you know that with your current behavior, I can call the police to arrest you? Wuo. Mother Xie was crying, and the pain in her body kept her crying. At this moment, her face could be said to be as swollen as a steamed bun. Xie's father and Xieting Yu's faces were actually not much better. They were shouting at this time. Looking at these tall men in black, they felt anxious in their hearts, fearing that Xieting Zhou would do something extreme. After experiencing what happened to Xie Yun, they also wondered if they had pushed Xie Yun too hard, turning Xie Yun into a madman now. Let's go to the hospital. Xieting Zhou ignored them and looked at the clothes of the 3 people, which were fine. Then he closed the door, but there was another person inside. Thinking of what Xie Qingping did to Xie Yao in his memory, Xieting Zhou would not sympathize with this child. The 3 of them were quickly pushed into the car, surrounded by big men in black clothes, who were so frightened that they could not move. Xieting Zhou had no expression. Thinking of the original owner's life full of jealousy and low self-esteem, perhaps it appeared while living in such a family. Otherwise, how could he be so painful? The car arrived at the hospital quickly. Brother Biao had already contacted the doctor at the hospital in advance and told him to do a DNA ancestry test, so a doctor came to draw blood soon. Xie's father, Xie's mother, and Xieting Yu all had their blood drawn. The three of them didn't understand the situation, but they just felt that their minds were in a mess. They were afraid that Sieting Zhou would sell them, but they didn't dare to speak. Sieting Zhou also drew blood, and then the test was expedited, which could be done in 2 hours at the fastest. After making the payment, Sieting Zhou sat down with Brother Biao and chatted about Brother Biao's business after he retired from the army. In fact, this company was not able to be opened from the beginning, and it still relied on Brother Biao's kindness. Look at the scars on my arms. They were injured when I first came back and acted bravely. There were kidnappers robbing the bank. How could I look at him? So I gave him a uniform. Then I was shot when I was fighting with someone. After fighting for a while, I protected the bank. Later, the country gave me a banner for bravery and gave me hundreds of thousands of bonuses. Only then did I have the opportunity to open the current bodyguard company so that my brothers can have a living. Brother Biao is a talkative person. Now he was chatting with Sieting Zhou and talked about his family history. Brother Biao, are you married? Sieting Zhou asked, and then Brother Biao slapped him hard on the shoulder. Of course, if I have the chance, I will take you back to my house and let you try the food cooked by your sister-in-law. It is really delicious. My parents didn't have it early. Later, their education was low, but they were in good health and went to serve in the army. After returning from the army, later, there was a sum of money, but it was all paid to the brothers who were injured and retired from the army together. Thanks to your sister-in-law, she did not dislike me and liked me. I have a daughter who is 14 years old this year. She looks like her mother, but she is very beautiful. I just thought, in the future, my daughter will be like Chu Jun, and become a strong woman, so as not to be bullied in this society. As for whether she wants to get married in the future, anyway, if she doesn't get married, I will raise her with her mother for the rest of her life. Chant. Speaking of his family, Brother Biao was very happy, and Sieting Zhou couldn't help laughing. He knew that Brother Biao's family was very warm, but just looking at Brother Biao's clothes, he didn't live a rich life. It should be that many of his retired soldiers had some diseases. Although the bodyguard company made money, it shouldn't make a lot of money. After the two chatted for a while, the doctor came out and brought the information. This is your information. Sieting Zhou took it and opened it without hesitation. The first one was the DNA blood test of Sieting Zhou and Xie Yongxiang. He turned directly to the last page, which stated a very straightforward sentence: Sieting Zhou and Xie Yongxiang did not have any biological blood relationship. Then he looked at another file, which was the DNA blood test report of Sieting Zhou and his mother Su 80. The result was the same as expected. Sieting Zhou and Su 80 also had no blood relationship. In other words, what the original owner had guessed was true, and he was really not a child of the Xie family. With such an outstanding appearance and excellent thinking ability, he finally became an inferior person who did whatever it took, which was also painful. There is also the identification report of Sieting Yu and Xie's parents, which shows that they are blood related. I don't know what happened that year, but at least this incident let Sieting Zhou know how to deal with the Xie family's affairs in the future. Brother Biao, let's go. Brother Biao was also the first time to see someone who could remain so calm after getting the DNA test, and he immediately followed. Sieting Zhou saw the Xie family couple and Sieting Yu surrounded by many black-clothed men in the lounge, and then handed the information directly to the two. Xie Yongxiang looked very bad. His face was red and swollen, and it was even more painful because he didn't apply medicine, so he was stunned after receiving this. What is this? I clearly know the big words on it, but Xie Yongxiang is inexplicably afraid and scared. After Su 80 saw the title of the DNA blood test report on it, she looked at her son in disbelief. Although she was beaten in her heart to blame and resent her son before, Su 80 really didn't think that the son would have nothing to do with her. Although many people outside always like to joke when Xie Joe is growing up, saying that Xie Joe doesn't look like a member of the Xie family, and the other people in the Xie family are ordinary, but Xie Joe looks so beautiful and looks like a genetic mutation, but that's just a joke. Su 80 didn't take it to heart. After all, genes are sometimes so wonderful. The couple never thought about the possibility that Xie Joe is not their biological son. They haven't thought about it once in so many years. It's the paternity test report between us, I think you should take a look. Xie Joe said calmly, and then Xie Yongxiang opened the file anxiously and looked through it hurriedly. Xie Yongxiang, who had never seen this thing, finally found the result and finally confirmed that they had no father-son relationship. Impossible, impossible, how can you not be my son? You are my biological child. Xie Yongxiang said anxiously. Although he didn't like Xie Ting's excellence, he felt that his genes were very powerful in his heart. He was able to give birth to such a son, but in the end you told me that this child is not mine? Su 80 also saw the final result. She didn't expect that she, as a mother, had no blood relationship with Xie Joe in front of her. She was stunned and couldn't believe it. Impossible, if you are not my son, then where is my son? Where is he? Selfish people are like this. They will not face the harm they have done to others. They will only selfishly consider their own affairs. In a sense, the Xie family is the same, and the things done by the Xie family are exactly the same. There is an old saying that dragons give birth to dragons, phoenixes give birth to phoenixes, and mice's children will dig holes. This can also explain from a certain aspect that genetic inheritance has a certain effect, such as appearance, personality, and other more straightforward diseases. How do I know? I just suddenly suspected that I was not your biological child. Now the result is out, it seems that my guess is correct. Xie Joe doesn't care where the child is, nor does he care what happened back then. He thinks it's good now. He has a wife and children, and the Xie family. There will be no Xie family in the future. Xie Tingyu was also stunned. He didn't expect that this outstanding brother was not his own. He was even more terrified now. He knew that without blood ties, this brother would not let them go. Now I have nothing to do with you, so I will take back everything I gave you. Xie Tingzhou turned his head and looked at Brother Biao. Brother Biao, I will send you the bill for everything I gave to the Xie family, whether it is money, house, or gifts. Please help me get it back. By then, I will have a 280 square meter local flat under my name, and I will give it directly to my sister-in-law. It will be a gift from Chu Jun and me to Brother Biao and his daughter. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 302. When Brother Biao heard this, he instantly thought of the Xie family flat that he had been to before. Although Brother Biao opened a company with a wide range of employees, Brother Biao was actually not that rich. At this moment, a man fell from the sky in vain. A house of 280 square meters, is this possible? Moreover, because he knew Liang Chejun's identity, since Xie Tingzhou said such words, he must have made a decision. If he refused again, the relationship would be bad, so he immediately patted his chest. Don't worry, it's no problem to leave this matter to me. Whether it's the house or the account books, I'll take care of them for you. As long as you have the account books arranged, I will definitely take care of everything for you. After all, Brother Biao has many people. If you want to cause trouble, you don't pay back the money and you don't even know who Brother Biao is. So Xie Tingzhou nodded and actually handed the real estate certificate he had brought before to Brother Biao. This thing was originally taken out casually to threaten the Xie family and his wife, but now it seems that it is meaningless. It is better to give it to Brother Biao to make Brother Biao's wife live a better life. This is the real estate certificate. Brother Biao, after you have settled the matter, just bring your lawyer over tomorrow to sign the contract. Once the contract is signed and filed, the house will be yours. Xie Ting's writing behavior directly made Brother Biao and the people below happy. After all, who wouldn't want to have such a generous friend? No problem, I guarantee that this will be done comfortably for you. Brother Biao thought to himself that it was no wonder that Xie Tingzhou was completely different from the Xie family. If he was not his biological son, it would be much more normal. In addition to the house, there are also some accounts and documents that need to be returned. I will ask Chu Jun's secretary to sort them out and send them to you tonight. Brother Biao, just collect them. After collecting them, send more to the brothers. Bonus, I have troubled you with my affairs in the past few days. Let me make a rough estimate. The total of all the bills between me and Chu Jun is probably about 5 million, and it will be considered as my wish. As soon as the 5 million came out, the eyes of the people around him were shining when they looked at Xie Tingzhou, and the Xie family was also stared at by these wolf-like people. They just wanted to act now, thinking that Brother Biao would have a house by then. They can also drink the broth, which is very exciting. After all, Brother Biao is a leader. He takes good care of his brothers below, and everyone is discharged from the army because of injuries. They all have families to support, so it is best to have red envelopes. Okay. No problem, brothers are here to listen. You guys take Ting's affairs as your own business. When you get the money, I will share it equally with the brothers. The total cost of the 280 square meter finely decorated house alone is at least 4 to 5 million. When I bought it, it was only about 3 million. Now it has risen to 6 million in minutes. It can also be sold second-hand. 4 to 5 million, Brother Biao naturally wants to handle this matter for Xie Tingzhou. Okay. Brother Biao is awesome. Thank you, Brother Tingzhou. Thank you, Brother Tingzhou. Everyone was young and old, and they were thanking each other in a lively manner. Only the Xie family members among them were pale. Father Xie was still confused at this time. He never expected that the child he had raised for so many years was not his own child. And it's not his wife's child. No wonder so many people said this child didn't look like the Xie family when he was young. Now that the child is really settled, it makes Xie's father really want to cry. Xie's mother had already started crying and looked at Xie Tingzhou. Tingzhou, you can't be like this. Even if we are not your biological parents, we have raised you for so many years. How can you treat us like this? You want to kick us out of the house and ask us for money. Why is he such a cold-blooded white-eyed wolf? She already had a look of embarrassment on her face, but she did not forget to accuse Xie Tingzhou at this time. The thought of moving out of such a big house made her feel extremely painful, which was even more painful than killing her. Although Xie's mother looked down on Xie Ting's marriage to someone else's family, the benefits she received were real, so Xie's mother naturally refused to let go. Now she is even more worried about where her son has gone, and is trying to play an emotional card with Xie Tingzhou. Have you raised me for so many years? Xie Tingzhou seemed to feel that he had heard a joke. After all, even if the original owner was not a good person in his memory, the way the original owner turned out to be was really inseparable from the treatment of people like the Xie family. I started getting scholarships in junior high school, and you guys started stealing my scholarships. After I got to high school, you cut off my food expenses directly because I lived on campus. You can't steal my scholarships anymore. I have been there for 3 years in high school. I came here with the help of scholarships and teachers, and finally got into college. You didn't want to give me money to go to college. I earned it from working. You haven't spent money on me since junior high school. How about raising me? Xie Tingzhou didn't know whether he was speaking for the original owner or letting others know the true face of the Xie family couple. Later I got married, and my wife bought you a big house of 280 square meters, and gave you 10,000 yuan a month. Every year you ask Mr. Chu for 200,000 yuan to take advantage of your illness. I gave you 200,000 yuan every month. I'll also give you 10,000 yuan, and the car dealership that Chu Jun rented for Xietingyu cost almost 3 million. I am 35 years old this year, and you have been gnawing on my flesh and blood for almost 10 years. In your eyes, are you the one raising me here? This is simply the funniest joke in the world. From today on, we no longer have any relationship. You must spit out everything I have given you. If you don't do it, I think Brother Biao has countless ways to make you spit it out. After he finished speaking, he stopped paying attention to the Xie family, because he knew that the family would only become more and more miserable in the future, and he had other arrangements. Tingzhou, please go first, we will help you handle this matter. Knowing that this younger brother was out of sight and out of mind, Brother Biao immediately took care of everything. Xie Tingzhou smiled gratefully, then said goodbye to Brother Biao, and left the hospital. After the people left, several members of the Xie family were even more trembling, and now their voices were trembling as they looked at the big man in black who came around. I'm telling you, don't do anything to us, we will call the police, we will call the police. Xie Tingyu said, what's the use? Brother Biao's younger brothers also said with smiles. We are all civilized people, and we are not forcing others to do things secretly, but you have also seen that we are helping our brothers, and your house now belongs to our eldest brother. You still owe others and don't waste money. We can let you go. Such words made the Xie family tremble. They didn't feel anything when they lay on Xie Tingzhu's body and sucked blood. Now, when they suddenly have to pay the price for sucking blood, everyone finds it hard to accept it. Xie Tingzhou left the hospital. It was already dark now. After smoking a cigarette outside, he went to take a shower and changed a set of clothes. After making sure that there was no cigarette smell on his body, he returned to the hotel and just caught up. Dinner. Come on, Tingzhou, come and have dinner together. These two little guys keep asking where their dad is as soon as they wake up. Huang Shutong immediately laughed when she saw her son-in-law. Next to her was Xie Yao, and sitting next to Liang Chejun was Liang Xian. The two children were next to each other. After Xie Tingzhou came over, he sat opposite them. Do you miss Dad? Dad has something to do in the afternoon, but there will be nothing to do tomorrow. This is Dad's hometown. Do you want Dad to take you to the amusement park tomorrow? How about you go with Grandma and Mom? After Xie Tingzhou sat down, he coaxed his two sons, which made Xie Yao and Liang Xian's eyes widen. Can we go to the amusement park? I'm going to the amusement park. The two children were extremely excited. Xie Tingzhou was in a good mood when he saw these two children. Okay, then how about you eat obediently now? After dinner, have a good rest tonight, and then your parents and grandma will take you to an amusement park tomorrow morning, okay? Xie Tingzhou saw that Xie Yao had changed into new clothes. It should have been brought by his mother-in-law. His mother-in-law was always thoughtful and always prepared 2 copies of everything. This time, she brought Xie Yao's things in advance. At this time, the two children were wearing the same clothes. The little blue shirt is so cute. Good. Good. Now the two children calmed down and stopped being picky about food. They finished their dinner happily. Huang Shutong knew that Xie Tingzhou had something to tell her daughter, so after finishing the meal, she took her 2 beloved children to this hotel. When playing in the amusement park, you can let the waiters play with you, so you don't have to worry about your children getting lost. After they left, Liang Chejun asked her husband about his family affairs. How's it going? If you go for identification in one afternoon, the results should come out. Xie Tingzhou looked directly at his wife. I'm not a child of the Xie family, but I don't know where I am. Liang Chejun was not surprised to hear this result, but he was a little worried. Then why don't we investigate what happened back then? Maybe we can find your biological parents. No, Chujun, if my biological parents didn't find out that their child is not biological, they are already old now, so it's best not to be shocked. I already have you and the children, as well as my parents. I'm lucky enough. Besides, if they have known for a long time that the child is not their biological child, but have never looked for me, there will be no point in continuing to look for him after 35 years. Xieting's whose purpose is to take back the golden finger, but not to find the truth about his life experience. It's just right to stop here. When Liang Chajun heard this, she felt warm and sour in her heart. She felt that her husband regarded her family as relatives, and she was sad because her husband had no relatives. Okay, I support you. If you don't want to look for them, don't look for them. We still have a long life in the future, and we can watch Xiao Yao and Ziyi Yan grow up. As she said this, Xieting Zhou also smiled and nodded, holding his wife in his arms. Yes, it's enough for me to have you. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin. Chapter 303. I want to get back all the property we gave to the Xie family, and then hand it all over to Brother Biao. As a thank you for Brother Biao's help this time, I also gave the house to Brother Biao. It is said that Brother Biao has a lovely daughter. Xieting Zhou talked to Liang Chajun. Liang Chajun was not surprised by such a result and nodded. Since you don't want to continue to quarrel with the Xie family, this is good. The house is not worth much, so it would be good to give it to Brother Biao. I then asked the secretary to sort out all the property information that I had given to the Xie family before, and then handed it over, give it to Brother Biao and let him handle it. After all, Liang Chajun is a businessman, so the money that comes out of Liang Chajun's place has documents and data that can be checked, so if you want to get it back, it is very easy. That's why Xieting Zhou knows how much money there is in total. In fact, this money is nothing to Liang Chajun, but this money can be spent on her husband's parents, but it cannot be spent on people who have nothing to do with her husband. Moreover, such people have bullied her husband for so many years. As for why Xieting Zhou has no intention of looking for relatives, Liang Chajun understands it very well. After all, they are all in their 30s now. Even if they find their so-called parents, they are already in their 50s or 60s, and their lives have passed. More than half of the time, maybe the sea would be better off without such waves. So Liang Chajun understood these and what Xieting Zhou meant. Well, wife, I'm lucky to have you. Xieting Zhou saw Liang Chajun caring about him so much. He put his arms around Liang Chajun's waist and put his face against Liang Chajun's neck, as if he was acting like a baby. It was rare for Liang Chajun to see her husband look like this. Even if she held her husband like this, even if people passing by looked at her with envy, Liang Chajun was very indifferent. The untimely system jumped out and automatically completed a task. After all, it had never met a host like Xieting Zhou, who was obviously a phoenix man but liked to be close to his wife. Why didn't he agree that his son-in-law was not close to his wife? After dinner, Liang Chajun took Xieting Zhou back to the room to rest. Knowing that her husband had been through a lot in the past 2 days and was in a bad mood, so after explaining to his mother, he rested with Xieting Zhou. On Huang Shutong's side, the two brothers who had not seen each other for almost a month had been taken by their grandma to take a bath and apply medicine. Then they changed into pajamas and lay on the bed. The large room here has 2 beds, which is enough to sleep. After Huang Shutong coaxed her 2 children to fall asleep, she went to her bed. She originally wanted to call her husband, but in the end she didn't call her. On the other hand, Liang Chejun's secretary sorted out all the money Liang Chejun had spent on Xia's family over the years and sent it to brother Biao overnight. Good guy, it's more than 5 million. The total amount is probably more than 10 million. And it's all cash. So brother Biao was excited when he saw the money, and the result is easy to explain. Although the money was transferred, the purpose was not stated. Legally, you can use various reasons to get it back, and if the Xia family doesn't want to live with it at all, if you don't go on, you'd better give the money away wisely. Where did we get so much money from others? The Xia family couldn't imagine that they had taken so much money from Liang Chejun over the years, and their expressions were ugly. Although they had secretly saved several million, there was no way they could have so much. This is the account book they sent me. Every record is clear. You'd better return the money to me, otherwise I will have many ways to mess with you. Tingzhou is not your child. Look at you being so cowardly. You can't raise a child like Tianzhou, so it must be a stolen child, right? Oh, you might be a human trafficker. Let's see how many years this human trafficker has been in prison. Brother Biao has a way of scaring people. Besides, he met illiterate people like the Xia family and his wife. Under such intimidation, they immediately agreed to pay back the money. There was nothing they could do. If they didn't pay back, they would go to jail. They have nothing to do with Xia Tingzhou now. Well, if I offend Liang Chejun, I will simply not be able to eat and walk around. Xia Tingzhou didn't care about the matters being handled here. After a good night's sleep, Xia Tingzhou woke up with his wife Liang Chejun in his arms. He couldn't help but lean in and kiss her, kissing her to wake her up. Liang Chejun was helpless when she woke up. She faced her husband's mischievous smile, hugged him and kissed him. Get better, brush your teeth. Only young couples who are purely in love would kiss without brushing their teeth early in the morning. Old couples like them just scratch the surface and brush their teeth first if anything happens. After the two got up and freshened up, Xia Tingzhou saw that his mental state had improved a lot, which made Liang Chejun feel comfortable. When the two of them packed up and went to Huang Shutong's room, they didn't expect that the two children were already up. The two star brothers Xia Yao and Liang Xian are more well behaved than the other when they are together. Only when they are apart are they the big devils in the eyes of others. After all, when we are separated, we are all ourselves, and there is no baggage in anything we do, and we can do whatever we want. When they were together, Xia Yao thought that he was the elder brother and wanted to protect his younger brother. He had a deep brother's burden on him. Liang Xian is also the same. He is obviously a clever guy in front of others, but he always pretends to be stupid in front of Xia Yao, and then sees his brother feeling sorry for him. It can be said that he is careful of the clever guy. So Liang Xian didn't make any fuss. He was a good and obedient brother. After getting up in the morning, he went to get dressed and wash up with his brother. Even the shoes were not put on by his grandma. The two brothers put on each other's shoes, which showed the deep brotherly love. Huang Shutong looked at the clingy appearance of the two brothers and thought that it would actually be good for Xia Yao to change his last name. Seeing that the two brothers were so affectionate and they were twins, they would definitely become a couple in the future. Especially Liang Xian. The intelligence that Liang Xian showed in front of others was not used at all in front of Xia Yao. He just waited for his brother to serve him. It was also very fun. This is probably like a child, who will only make trouble with those closest to him. When Xia Tingzhou and the others came over, they saw two small firecrackers rushing towards them, and then each one hugged the thighs of Xia Tingzhou and Liang Chejun. The couple lowered their bodies and picked up the children. Today's destination is an amusement park, so everyone wears sports style, which is very suitable for going out. Okay, let's go have dinner first. After dinner, we can go to the amusement park together, okay? The two children stared wide-eyed, waiting for their father to say this. Hearing this, he was suddenly surprised, and then made a loud sound. Good. With the children's happiness, breakfast went very smoothly. After eating, Xie Zhou took them to the amusement park, and Huang Shutong and Liang Chujun took some things the children needed. We soon arrived at the amusement park. This is a children's amusement park. Parents are required to accompany us. There are quite a lot of people. There are soft beds for children to play on, or slides, or there are places where adults can play with children. Entertainment facilities are very convenient. The next day, Xie Zhou was really busy. He was so busy that he had no time to think about all kinds of things, because his two sons played on the slide and on the rockers. Of course, Xie Zhou, as his biological father, accompanied him, and Liang Chujun played half of it. She vomited immediately and looked very ugly. As a strong woman, Liang Chujun had never been to such a place when she was a child, and it was the first time she realized that she was not good at this. In the end, she was left to rest, leaving her mother, Huang Shutong, dumbfounded. She said that when she was a child, her daughter was always riding horses and skiing, or taking fencing lessons and shooting lessons. How could she ever play with these strange things? Now seeing Liang Chujun stumbling directly here, Huang Shutong also laughed and thought her daughter was quite cute. The two children were not tired at all. From entering the amusement park at 8 in the morning to leaving after watching the fireworks at 8 in the evening, for 12 hours, Xie Yao and Liang Xian were playing like crazy and did not sleep at all. On the way back, the two children fell asleep in the car. "Aren't you tired?" Liang Chujun asked her husband. After all, her husband had been with the two children all day today, so he worked very hard. Liang Chujun and Huang Shutong almost followed them, just sitting there and resting. "Fortunately, I am a doctor after all. When the hospital was very busy, I also had surgery before, so my physical strength is still good," Xie Zhou said with a smile, and Huang Shutong was even more happy to see such a warm look between the two of them. Thinking of her daughter explaining her son-in-law's affairs clearly during the day, Huang Shutong finally understood why her son-in-law wanted Xie Yao to change his name. It turns out that the son-in-law is not the biological son of that family, and has been abused. Now he has become a rootless duckweed. The more Huang Shutong knew about this, the more she sympathized with Xie Zhou. She thought that no matter how good the relationship between the child and her daughter was, and now that she had no family members, she must talk to her husband when she went back and treat the child well. Before, she had thought of being on guard. This kid, it seems like they are acting like a villain right now. When the car returned to the hotel, everyone was exhausted, took a shower and went to bed. Xie Yun stayed in the hotel and did not go out. If something happened, Brother Baiao's friends would contact Xie Yun. She knew that Liang Chujun said that her brother went to the amusement park, but she had no face to see him, so in the end she could only stay silent. In the next few days, Brother Baiao was busy dealing with the Xie family's affairs, and of course Xie Yun's. Xie Zhou took his son, mother-in-law and wife to many places, most of which were scenic spots in his hometown, and also took the whole family to his junior high school and high school. The teachers in the junior high school were overjoyed when they saw him. They were filled with emotion after seeing Xie Zhou's happy family. In the end, Xie Zhou donated 3 million to the school, which made the principal very happy. Although Liang Chujun said nothing on the surface, she donated another 10 million in private. She was grateful to the school for nurturing her husband, otherwise she would not have met her husband. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 304. A week later, Xie Zhou met Brother Baiao again. In addition to the previous real estate matters, Brother Baiao had been busy with Xie Zhou's family affairs recently. This time they had dinner together in the hotel and everything was settled. "Zhou, here are all the repayment information. Look, the Xie family has paid back all the money. After all, Xie Tingyu has been in business for so many years, so the Xie family and Xie Tingyu's own savings naturally took out more than 10 million, and naturally wanted the house back, as well as the lease contract that Liang Chujun gave him. When he came back, Xie Tingyu estimated that he would owe several million for business turnover. Well, just give it. Brother Biao will use the money to give some bonuses to the brothers. He has also asked the brothers to help in the past few days. Brother Biao also knows about my family's affairs. I feel very upset when I see these things. Xie Tingzhou did not hesitate to reveal his feelings. This made Brother Biao originally want to say that the money was so much that it was hot to hold, but now he understood that maybe if the money was taken back, others would still feel uncomfortable, so it would be better to take it himself. Okay, then I won't be polite to you. I will keep the money. If you have anything to do in the future, I will say hello to you. I will definitely help you. In addition, Xie Tingyu's car dealership has actually got together with some companies, etc. After this incident, I had someone report him, and he would have to stay there for a few years. This car repair shop is connected with the company, and it is nothing more than an intermediate money laundering process through car repairs and car washes. Although it is a small amount, only tens of millions, it is enough for Xie Tingyu to squat indirectly. Well, Brother Biao, it's up to you. Xie Tingzhou nodded. Brother Biao was not polite and talked about the police station again. The other thing about Xie Yun is that Wang Suguang's murder has been confirmed, so the final result will be life imprisonment. We will see where he will serve his sentence. I know a lot of brothers. I will just say hello and ask the brothers to take care of them, leaving him with no good fruit to eat. In addition to these, this document contains instructions for the annulment of the marriage between Xie Yun and Wang Suguang. There will be no records afterwards. In addition, there is also the compensation paid to Xie Yun by the Wang family. Not to mention that the Wang family is quite rich. A total of 1.6 million, are all here. Naturally, everything was done perfectly. If the evidence brought out by Brother Biao was higher than that of Wang's family, Wang Suguang would be dead if he were punished for several crimes. So in order to prevent his son from dying, Zhou Yun was busy looking for evidence everywhere. I want my son's sentence to be commuted, or to go private. It's just that this happened in front of so many people and everyone saw it, so why did it remain private? Under the bad circumstances of the case, even if Zhou Yun found many powerful lawyers, there was nothing he could do. The final result was of course self-evident. Well, please help Brother Biao transfer this money to her. I can't see her again now. Xie Tingzhou replied that Brother Biao didn't think it was abnormal. After all, Xie Tingzhou's identity was different now. He was no longer a member of the Xie family. Xie Yun and Xie Tingzhou were not related by blood. It would be a bit embarrassing to meet again like this. No problem, I'll take care of this matter. But Tingzhou, since something like this has happened, I want to tell you. I have many brothers, including those who are policemen and medical practitioners. If you want to find your own life experience, I can help you find it, it depends on what you say. After taking over 10 million yuan from someone else's house, Brother Biao will naturally want to repay him. Not only will the more than 10 million yuan be fully distributed to the brothers, but he will also let the brothers buy a house and get a down payment. 100,000 is easy, Brother Qian Biao is still willing to split it. No, Brother Biao, I know you care about me, but I have discussed this matter with Chu Jun, and I don't plan to find any family members. Besides, I now feel that it is good to have Chu Jun and the child, and my parents are very good to me. Take care, I'm really fine now. Xie Tingzhou looked very relaxed as he spoke, which made Brother Biao realize that this person's state of mind is different. Even if he knew that his parents were not his biological children, he was still very calm, and he didn't even have the idea of looking for his parents. This is good. After all, just live your life well. Seeing that Xie Zhou and Liang Chejun have a good relationship, they still live their lives treating other people's parents as their own. This person lives for only one love in the world. Which love is not love? Okay, since you said that, I won't say much. By the way, how about I treat you to dinner with Mr. Chu today? After taking other people's money, Brother Biao was still happy to treat them to a meal. After all, he was still a little embarrassed. Brother Biao, you are already here, how can I ask you to invite me? You call the brothers, I will book the hotel here for everyone in the restaurant on the third floor, and ask the brothers to come over for dinner. Chu Jun and I also thank you for bringing your children to meet you. This can be said with great respect, not only for Brother Biao, but also for Brother Biao's brothers. Okay. Then I won't be polite and call the brothers to come over and have fun. Brother Biao decided to help Xie Zhou with some more things, with a smile on his face, and then started making phone calls. Xie Zhou had notified the hotel before, so the hotel immediately started making arrangements. In the evening, Brother Biao's brothers came over for dinner, and it was really lively. They all brought their wives and children with them because they knew that Xie Zhou was bringing his wife and children to meet them. They were afraid that the grown men here would scare the children, so they all brought their family members with them. In this way, these big men are not so scary. Xie Zhou and Liang Chejun drank juice with everyone one by one. Because the children were there, everyone tacitly agreed not to drink. After all, no matter how heroic a father is outside, he is just a husband in front of his wife. He is a father to his children. Xie Yao and Liang Xian even played with the children present, and the meal was a feast for both the guests and the host. However, Xie Yun didn't come down to eat. She just thanked Brother Biao and got more than 1 million yuan. She would have been very happy before, but she couldn't be happy now. After this meal, things belonging to the Xie family were finally settled. In the evening, Xie Zhou told his wife about returning to Shangjing City. We should go back, otherwise Dad will be worried at home. Xie Zhou said and Liang Chejun nodded. Well, go back. After watching her husband fall asleep, Liang Chejun asked his secretary to book a ticket and fly back to Beijing at noon tomorrow. After seeing Xie Zhou asleep, Liang Chejun went to see Xie Yun. We're leaving. Liang Chejun said, feeling relieved when he saw that the wounds on Xie Yun's face had improved a lot in the past few days. Although he had begun to hate this person in his heart, as a woman, Liang Chejun would not rejoice in a woman's suffering. Second brother, isn't he willing to tell me in person? Xie Yun also guided him to do something, but now he was a little hesitant to ask such questions. He took a rest. He probably felt that there was no need to meet you again. I also want to tell you some news. He did a DNA blood test with the Xie couple a few days ago. As he guessed when he was a child, Xie Zhou is not the Xie couple. Biological sons, there is no blood relationship between them. Liang Chejun gave the answer that had troubled Xie Yun for 20 years, and it was probably the thing that should have changed Xie Zhou's life 20 years in advance. Xie Yun's face suddenly turned pale, thinking that if this result had come out that year, would the second brother have found his biological family? Will you be able to live the happiest life by then? This possibility made Xie Yun feel that he had ruined his second brother's different life with his own hands, which made Xie Yun feel extremely painful. It was me who ruined my second brother, it was me. If he had known about this back then, he would definitely be different from what he is now. He would have found his biological parents and lived a happy life. Xie Yun's tears fell, but he did not deserve anyone's sympathy, nor was he pitied by anyone. She was obviously the one who did something wrong, so what if she is crying now? Maybe, we can never go back 20 years ago to see what this matter was like. But although we know the answer now, Tingzhou is not willing to look for those so-called relatives. He said that now I have it's enough to have your children by your side. Liang Chejun's eyes were full of tenderness when she talked about her husband. If anyone in the company saw it, they would definitely not believe it, because such a queen in the company could be so gentle sometimes. Xia Yun said nothing, but looked at Liang Chejun with eyes full of jealousy. She thought, if she hadn't changed her hair back then, would everything have been different? When the second brother finds his biological parents, will she still be his sister? Instead of like now, it seems that even the best reason to approach him is gone. Well, I wish you good luck in your future. Don't contact Ting Zhou again. He won't pay attention to you, and I won't pay attention to you. A woman also walks her own path. You can be selfish, but you can't put yourself out there. Put your pain before others, live a good life, and be a good person instead of someone you hate. Seeing the look in Xia Yun's eyes, Liang Chejun was not angry. She stood up and said something like this. After all, she hoped Xia Yun understood that the foundation for a woman to gain a foothold in this world is not her parents or men, but herself. If you turn yourself into a duckweed and look for support everywhere, then no one can be your support. But if you are a big tree standing in the ground, then you can grow and grow as much as you want. Liang Chejun left, and Xia Yun sat there blankly for a long time without moving. When Xia Tingzhou and everyone got ready to leave the next day, Liang Chejun learned from the manager that Xia Yun left last night. As for where she went, no one knew. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 305. The moment Xia Tingzhou got on the plane, he didn't ask about Xia Yun, as if he had forgotten this person. Liang Chejun didn't mention it in the end. They all got on the plane together and flew to Shangjing. After arriving in Hiang City for nearly 10 days, everything had been taken care of, and the scars on Xia Yao's face gradually healed, leaving only a faint scar. Even so, Huang Shutong and Liang Chejun was very scared. After all, Xia Yao was already good looking. If he left a scar on his face, it would be irresponsible for the child's future. As a plastic surgeon, Xia Tingzhou immediately promised his wife that he would not leave scars on his son's face. This reassured the two women. After all, Liang Chejun still believed in the current medical methods. After getting off the plane, the family's driver came to pick them up. Instead of going back to Liang Chejun and Xia Tingzhou's home, they went directly to the old house. I told your dad everything about this. Your dad said he would like you to live in the old house for a while after you come back. He misses Xiao Yao. There was something in Huang Shutong's words, but Xia Tingzhou was calm. Well, Mom, don't worry. I know that I have to worry about Xiao Yao this time. I will never do such a thing in the future. Seeing her son-in-law apologize, Huang Shutong felt that her son-in-law had really realized his mistake and laughed. We are all a family. Needless to say, as long as you and Chu Jun get along well in the future, that will be the best. The car soon arrived at the Liang family's old house. It was actually near Xia Tingzhou's villa, about a few hundred meters away. The scenery here was good. The old man had been waiting for them to come back at home early, waiting for Xia Tingzhou and Liang Chejun. After carrying one child and one person back, Liang Qiuxiang was already looking forward to seeing what happened. After seeing a faint mark on Xia Yao's face, even though he had known that his grandson was injured, Liang Qiuxiang still felt terribly distressed after seeing it. He quickly reached out and hugged Xia Yao in his arms. Grandpa's dear grandson, let me see your face. Does it hurt? How is it? How did it get like this? Liang Qiuxiang is really distressed. After all, these two children are his own grandchildren. Even if one of them is raised more seriously, the other one is not from outside. They are both his own flesh and blood. Naturally, he feels very distressed. Grandpa, I don't feel any pain anymore. I miss Grandpa so much. Xia Yao put his arms around his grandfather's neck, leaned in and kissed him. He was the cutest little sweet bean, which made Liang Qiuxiang's eyes narrow with laughter. Grandpa also misses Xiao Yao. Xiao Yao has been wronged this time. When he comes back, Grandpa has prepared many gifts for you, as well as a new watch. Can you give them to Xiao Yao and Xian later? Yeah, thank you Grandpa. Xiao Yao nodded obediently, very well behaved in his grandfather's arms. Liang Xian on the side was not jealous, but looked at his brother smiling happily. After a while, Liang Qiuxiang sat on the sofa with his children in his arms, letting the children look at the new watch on the table. It was brand new and customized and cost hundreds of thousands. It has all kinds of functions and is the latest high-tech. Look at the watch Grandpa bought for you. The two children couldn't wait to take apart the watch, and then saw the exact same small white watch. They were so happy that their family put it on their hands, and then hugged their grandfather and kissed him again and again. Liang Qiuxiang is happy to be surrounded by his two grandsons. He is happy to think that Xiao Yao will also have his own surname in the future. After all, the two children are twins. It would be great if they were both from the Liang family, even if there is only one. One can inherit the Liang group, but the other one can also help. Only by working together can brothers achieve better results. Dad, I'm sorry. It was my fault for letting Xiao Yao go home before. I'm sorry for Xiao Yao, and I'm sorry for you, Mom, and Chu Jun. Xie Tingzhou apologized again. Liang Qiuxiang was originally very angry, but after knowing what happened to his son-in-law, he also understood that it was great that such a character could grow out of such a quagmire, and now the son-in-law has no biological father. Mom, this is the time when you need to care. He, the father-in-law, is his biological parent. If he is recruiting his son-in-law well now, will his son-in-law treat him as his biological parent and be filial in the future? Okay, we don't talk to each other as a family. Your mother has told me these things about you. You have also been wronged. No one expected that such a thing would happen. From today on, you and Chu Jun will be together. Stay with me and your mother temporarily, it's just the summer vacation for the kids, let's have some fun together, what do you think? The son-in-law has lost his biological parents, and it is time to cultivate feelings. Liang Qiuxiang is a relatively generous father-in-law. The reason why Xie Tingzhou was not allowed to join the Liang group was really not because he looked down upon this new son-in-law, but because it was inappropriate. Xie Tingzhou studied medicine, but the Liang group did not involve any drug-related subsidiaries at all. This was embarrassing and impossible. Could it be possible for his son-in-law to work as a sales manager or financial manager in the company? This is also embarrassing. Dad, I listened to you. I have seen a lot of things clearly when I came back this time. I will be filial to you and Mom in the future. For me, Chu Jun, the children, and my parents are the closest people I have in this world people. As soon as these good words came out, Liang Qiuxiang was immediately happy and nodded happily. Okay, are you tired when you come back? Let's eat first, and we can talk after eating. The chef prepared the most sumptuous meal, and the family finished the meal happily. Liang Chujun hurriedly went to see the company's documents. Huang Shutong took the two children to the game room with the nanny, and Xie Tingzhou and his father-in-law. Then he went to the study room. In the past, Xie Tingzhou rarely asked to come to the study, and Liang Qiuxiang would not take Xie Tingzhou to the study to talk about anything. Although the son-in-law is good-looking, he looks like a flower on the high mountain, as if he is not stained by dust. Those money is worldly, as if it had nothing to do with him. Liang Qiuxiang, a wealthy father-in-law, was sometimes afraid that the other party would think him a Philistine. After arriving in the study this time, the servant served tea, and the two sat together to drink tea and talk about Xiao Yao. Your mother has already called me to tell me about Xiao Yao's change of surname. In fact, you also know that in my heart, although Xian is my chosen heir to the Liang group, Xiao Yao is also my own grandson. We are my own flesh and blood, so of course I am willing to change my surname, but I am afraid that one day you will regret it. Now that the child is young, there is no problem if I change it, but if I change it again and again when I grow up, I am afraid there will be problems. When Liang Qiuxiang talked about his children, he was truly fatherly. This was true for Liang Chejun and his two grandchildren. Dad, you should also know that my parents are not my parents, so I am not obsessed with this surname. I am afraid that Xiao Yao will be uncomfortable because of a series of things that happened in the Xie family, so I want to change my surname. In order to make Xiao Yao forget the unpleasantness there, the last name is not important to me. Xie Tingzhou directly gave an answer for the sake of the children. Liang Qiuxiang nodded and felt that this should be the case. Well, in that case, if we want to change the child's name, we have to ask the child's opinion in the end. If Xiao Yao agrees, we will change the name later, just change the surname, or do you want to choose another name? Liang Qiuxiang was a little ready to make a move and felt that he really wanted to give his grandson another name. At this time, he looked at his son-in-law with eyes full of expectation. Dad, the name you gave Xian was very good. If Xiao Yao is willing to change his name, Dad, just choose it. Xie Tingzhou felt that the name Xiao Yao was still a little bad. He had such a bright name, but he died in the darkest place in the end. Therefore, if the name was not good, it would be best to change it. Liang Qiuxiang's eyes suddenly lit up and he felt happy. After the two chatted for a while, they asked a servant to bring Xiao Yao over alone. When Xiao Yao saw his grandfather, he rushed over and was picked up by his grandfather. Xiao Yao, Grandpa just discussed with your father to change your name, okay? Liang Qiuxiang asked, but Xiao Yao looked a little confused and said cautiously. Grandpa, can I not change my name? I won't change my surname either. The child's words stunned both Xie Tingzhou and Liang Qiuxiang. Why? Xiao Yao doesn't want to have the same surname as Grandpa. Xiao Yao shook his head seriously. It's not that I don't like Grandpa, it's because my younger brother is Grandpa's heir. If my surname was Liang, Grandpa would be in trouble. I can take my dad's surname. I'm Dad's heir. Such innocent words fell into the ears of the two grown men, and their expressions suddenly turned ugly. Xiao Yao, who told you this? He knew about the heir at a young age. How would the child know if someone else hadn't told him? It's Dad's parents. Xiao Yao gave the answer. Xie Tingzhou was stunned for a moment, and then spoke to his son seriously. Xiao Yao, listen to what Dad said. Dad just found out in the past few days that his parents are not his biological parents. They have no relationship with them, so Dad doesn't need to be named Xie. What they said is also a lie to you. Grandpa likes your surname Liang very much. From now on, you will have everything your brother has, Dad promises. Liang Qiuxiang also immediately promised. Yes, you have what my brother has, and you are also the darling of your grandparents. With these words, Xiao Yao relaxed a little, and then looked at the two adults with expectant eyes. Is that so? Won't my surname Liang make everyone unhappy? Such a young child began to worry about the thoughts of adults, which made the two of them feel distressed and happy at the same time. In the end, they quickly coaxed Xiao Yao to relent. Xiao Yao still agreed to have the same surname as his brother, Liang. Liang Qiuxiang was so happy that he quickly came up with a good name that he had been looking for 3 days and 3 nights. From now on, Xiao Yao has a new name, his name is Liang Rongzi. Rongzi Xian is the most precious treasure of the Liang family. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 306. Liang Rongzi, who had a new name, immediately went to show off to his younger brother. "Brother, brother, I have a new name. Grandpa named me Liang Rongzi. Isn't it nice?" When Liang Zian heard this name and heard that his brother had the same last name as himself, he was so happy that he hugged his brother. "It sounds super good. It sounds so good. The best sounding in the world." In front of his brother, he always seemed to be in a group of praises. The way he spoke at this moment made Huang Shutong on the side also smile. Thinking about this good name, he didn't know how many books his husband had to read before he found it. Rongzi, it was indeed a good name. Soon Liang Chujun also knew his son's name, and immediately felt his father's thoughts. He felt even more guilty for his inexplicable speculation about his parents before. He was also very happy to see his two sons happy. "Mom also likes your new name very much, Rong 11. You and your brother Zian are my most cherished babies." He held his two sons in his arms. Only a mother would like her children very much, so Liang Chujun felt that the name of the eldest son was excellent. "Let's talk about the future in the future. At least for now, everything is fine. It's the best look." Soon, Xia Yao's various procedures began to change. From the original Xia Yao to the current Liang Rongzi, Liang Zian took his brother to play with his former friends every day, showing off his brother's new skills every time. Name, let the friends around you praise your brother's new name. Liang Rongzi is also very happy. He happily plays with friends every day with his younger brother. He is completely no longer autistic. He was originally a child who grew up in love, otherwise he would not be so considerate of his younger brother and parents. Now he no longer has the previous autistic attitude. All injuries can be said to really glow. Liang Chujun has been very busy recently. After all, she stayed outside for a while. After she came back, she was constantly busy with things in the company. As the leader of the company, she did not have the kind of leisure all day long. As soon as she came back, she was directly occupied with various business matters. Surrounded. So what is Xieting Zhou doing? The plastic surgery hospital in Shangjing City is extremely busy. Many people come here because of Xieting Zhou's name. Unexpectedly, the doctor is not here, but the business here is also good. After all, it is a big hospital, and there will be no shortage of one. People can't turn around. So Xieting Zhou resigned. What? You want to resign? Dean Huang was confused. It was interesting enough to give Xieting Zhou a 10-day vacation, but now he resigned as soon as he came back, which made Dean Huang explode. Ting Zhou, is it that the treatment given to you by our hospital is not good? Or do you think you are too busy at work and need a rest? These can be discussed easily. Why should you resign? Our hospital still cherishes you. Expert. How many patients come here because of you? If you leave then, won't the patients be in trouble? It can be said that Dean Huang, who was kind to Xieting Zhou, believed that Xieting Zhou would tell the truth in front of him. He did not consider the fact that Xieting Zhou was poached by another hospital at all. He just felt that it was either salary or vacation. Anyway, he would not resign. It's easy to discuss and everything is easy to talk about. Dean Huang, I'm not hiding anything from you. Didn't I send my son back to my hometown before? As a result, my son was injured on his face, and now he has a scar. Then I remembered that I met an old Chinese medicine doctor when I was a child, and talked to him. I have studied some things, and now I have some money. I am thinking about setting up a cosmeceutical laboratory to make some medicines to see if I can recover from the injuries on my son's face. Otherwise, he is only 6 years old, what will happen in the future? Ah! Dean Huang did not hide it. Xieting Zhou directly said that he was resigning because of his son and wanted to make medicine for his son. In an instant, the system popped up again. Drop. The host successfully demonstrated the basic qualities of a good father in front of Dean Huang, and was given a special reward special formula for pediatric asthma medicine. Please keep up the good work. Xieting Zhou discovered that as long as outsiders showed shock and envy to people or things related to their parents-in-law, the system would automatically send tasks and then refresh the tasks, so Xieting Zhou now has a lot of formulas in his hands. So that's it? There's no need to resign. But haven't you tried the scar medicines in our hospital? They are all good things imported from abroad. Dean Huang looked worried, but Xieting Zhou shook his head. Those are not good for children, so I don't want my son to use them. The formula I remembered is purely Chinese herbal medicine, so I want to set up a cosmeceutical research laboratory to develop it. I'm afraid I don't have time to take care of the hospital. Xieting Zhou was sincerely grateful to Dean Huang, so his resignation was sincere and there was no deception. You are an honest person. Tell me the truth. Since it was developed for your son, how sure are you? Since Xieting Zhou dares to say it, he must have done some research, otherwise it can be used by his son? Dean Huang is somewhat curious about this medicine. 80% sure, Xieting Zhou gave the answer. Dean Huang's eyes lit up. That's good. Why are you resigning? You still have a reputation in our hospital. Then you can come 2 or 3 days a month. As for this cosmeceutical laboratory, you have to have money to invest, right? I represent myself. I will invest 20 million in you without giving any benefits to the hospital. If the medicine is really effective, the first batch of medicine will be provided to our hospital. What do you think? They are all family members, so it is not easy to take advantage. Dean Huang thought of a way to have the best of both worlds. Xieting Zhou also laughed when he heard it. He knew that Dean Huang still wanted to take care of him, so he nodded. Thank you, Dean. I will keep you updated when the research is done. Dean Huang said that as long as he did not resign, it would be fine. Xieting Zhou quickly signed a 20 million contract with Dean Huang, and then he took 20 million. Liang Chujun also gave 20 million after knowing that her husband was researching scar removal drugs for his son. There were already 60 million, but when the Liang family couple heard that it was for the child, they each gave another 20 million, and the cost of 100 million was directly spent. After that, Xieting Zhou was very busy. He was busy with the company's audit, various drugs, renting houses, hiring people, etc. In less than a month, this company called Mujun Cosmeceuticals was on the right track. Liang Chujun blushed when he heard the name. People from the original plastic surgery hospital also joked that Drcia loved his wife so much that he opened a company in his wife's name. That was true love. Xieting Zhou began to work hard in the research room. He was busy with the universal scar removal patch. However, he still had many formulas, such as the blood activating and stasis removal patch formula, the universal growth factor formula, and a facial mask formula, etc. Anyway, they were all accumulated from previous tasks. It must be said that this divine doctor son-in-law system contains a lot of things. It is estimated that Xieting Zhou will never finish studying it in his lifetime. After another half a month, Xieting Zhou developed the universal scar removal patch. It is a pure Chinese medicine formula made into a paste shape, which is used on scars. After making it according to the requirements of the system, Xieting Zhou naturally knew the effect. The scar on Liang Rongzi's face is still there. After all, he hit a certain place at that time. It would take at least a year or two to recover. This time, Xieting Zhou took the medicine to apply to Liang Rongzi. The strong bitter taste made the child frown. This is the scar removal medicine that Daddy has specially researched for you. Although it is very bitter, it will work soon. Xieting Zhou naturally knew that the system's products must be fine products, and this thing must be able to help his son recover. He had taken photos of his son and sent them to Dean Huang before. Now that he has started treatment, he naturally has to send photos every day. Yeah, Dad, I don't mind the hardship. I know that Dad is doing it for me. Liang Rongzi knew that his father was guilty about the wound on his face, so he went to develop these drugs. At this time, he obediently let Xie Tingzhou apply the medicine. The Liang family was very nervous, and Liang Chujun was also afraid whether this medicine would work. Then they witnessed a miracle. After the first day, everyone saw that the scar had changed slightly. After the second day, the scar turned pink. After the third day, the scar seemed to be growing again. On the seventh day, when Xie Tingzhou took off the universal scar removal cream, Liang Rongzi's fair and smooth face seemed as if he had never been injured. This is also related to the child's strong recovery ability. If it is an adult, it is estimated that it will take a month to slowly see the effect, and in about half a year, the scars can completely disappear. Of course, some people's skin is easier to recover, and it will be faster, depending on the individual's physique. Oh my God! There are really no scars. Dad is so awesome. Liang Rongzi hugged Xie Tingzhou, very happy, really happy. In addition to no scars on his face, he also felt that his father was really his hero, so awesome. It seems that anything can be solved after encountering Dad. As long as Rongzi is happy, Xie Tingzhou was also in a good mood. Liang's parents and Liang Chujun were also very happy to see this scene. Seeing that the medicine developed by their son-in-law was so powerful, in addition to being happy for their grandson, they also felt that this was a great business opportunity, so they immediately expressed their willingness to invest in Xie Tingzhou. Liang Group invested 500 million yuan in Xie Tingzhou, and then they could build factories to produce this drug. Dean Huang was also shocked by this drug. All scars are gone in 7 days. This is a miracle drug. So Xie Tingzhou quickly applied for a cosmeceutical patent for this drug, passed the product review, and officially started production. When everyone who knew Xie Tingzhou saw the first packaging and name of this product, they were speechless. Because the name of this scar removal product is actually Rongzi cream, is this appropriate? Using your son's name as the name of the drug. What does this have to do with scar removal? But Xie Tingzhou was very calm about this. This ointment was developed for his son, so what's wrong with calling it Rongzi cream? Liang Rongzi, the person involved, was very happy and immediately shared this matter with all his good friends. Please, it's cool to have a drug named after yourself. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 307. With such a vivid advertisement like Liang Rongzi, Dean Huang naturally knew the effect of this drug. In addition, Rongzi ointment is originally a cosmeceutical. Generally speaking, cosmeceutical products are easier to put on the market, so the first sales location is naturally Iwane Plastic Surgery Hospital. After asking Xie Tingzhou what he meant, their hospital finally chose to use Liang Rongzi's photos for promotion, and also found someone to polish the pen and write a touching emotional story about father and son, which was enough to make patients who came to the hospital be deeply moved by the story. What's more, in this story, between the father and son, one is the handsome Dr. Xie, and the other is a cute and miniature version of Dr. Xie. Who wouldn't like it? So this cosmeceutical product quickly became popular in beauty salons. At first, everyone came here because of Xie Tingzhou's name. After all, people all have some old scars on their bodies. As people grow up, bumps are inevitable during the process. Now that this scar removal cosmetic is available, everyone is very eager to try it. The various herbs in this cosmeceutical formula are not too precious, so the price is also very appropriate. A small bottle costs less than 200 yuan a month. It can be said that it is a very cheap product in a beauty salon with huge profits. So the price of selling it is what Xie Tingzhou said. Children will inevitably have bumps and bruises in the process of growing up. Once some scars are left, they will become really stubborn scars when they grow up. Therefore, Xieting Zhou hopes that the pricing of his products will not be completely aimed at the beauty industry, but at some people. Children, let mothers use this medicine to help their children recover better after their children accidentally touch it, without leaving scars and regrets for life. The price of 200 yuan is really the most conscientious price. Generally speaking, children can only use one bottle. After this statement came out, not only did the patients in the plastic surgery hospital not think that this ointment was unreliable, but they also deeply felt that Dr. Xie was a father with children in his heart. It is great to have such an idea. So everyone bought them one after another, some for their own scars, and some for the production lines on the abdomen. Anyway, after a month, they all had results. God knows that they spent a lot of money in vain to save these scars. There are hundreds of thousands and millions of them. Now for a few $100, it can be cured. Even for stubborn scars, as long as it takes a long time to recover, it only costs 200 yuan a month and less than 2,000 yuan a year. It can be said to be very cheap. And within this month, all the people who came to Iwane Hospital and bought this Rongzi cream became tap water. They started to use it on Xiaohongshu, Weibo, and various Douyin software. Consciously promote the miracle of this medicine, and then put the Dr. Xieting Zhou on the hot search all the way. Hashtag Dr. Xie makes Rongzi ointment for his son hashtag. After this Weibo appeared, many melon eaters were stunned at first. After clicking in one after another, they realized that it was a very touching story. After a child was accidentally injured, the father was worried that he would leave scars, so he made it. A drug to treat scars is even named after his son, which sounds like the ultimate expression of fatherly love. However, netizens are also talking about it. Baby, haha, why don't you just tell me that you sell goods? Why are you bragging about the deep love between father and son? Tomorrow is the end. I despise the kind of adults who use children to make money. Isn't that just a plastic surgeon? You don't have to worry about anything happening if you use your children to make money. What a big one. Speaking of which, I seem to know this doctor, he's so handsome. Plastic surgery is also pretty good. Xiao Qing, am I the only one who thinks this thing looks like soft advertising? Why do you have the nerve to do this? Just when netizens were complaining and thinking that this so-called Rongzi cream was just a hype and just to make money, a very famous female star with high traffic directly came forward and reposted this on Weibo. And Xingxin v. Rongzi ointment is very useful. I fell off a horse and scratched my face. I have been looking for medicine to remove scars. Now the treatment has been successful. I am very grateful to Dr. Xie's ointment, and Dr. Xie's medicine is for children. The price, it only costs 200 yuan a bottle. I used 2 bottles and it was completely healed. You can see the photos. And Xingxin directly released the previous photos. After all, it was true that she fell from a horse while filming a costume drama. After the fall, her face was scratched by a stone, leaving a big scar, which has disappeared from netizens. After more than half a year, it suddenly appeared and the comparison of photos released shocked everyone. One photo shows the horrific appearance of the wound, followed by the slowly recovering appearance, and then the clean cheek after using the drug. Resurrection from the ashes is nothing more than that. The reason why Xingxin's wound recovered so quickly was because she directly found Xieting Zhou. At Dean Wang's request, Xieting Zhou specially prescribed a new method of using the ointment for him. Within a month, although it was painful, she suddenly regained her original appearance, which can be said to be almost life-saving for the female star. For the past month, Xingxin had to endure the crazy itching on her face every night. It was because the flesh was growing again, and the smell of medicine all over her nose made it unbearable. If she were an ordinary person, she would have long ago can't hold on any longer. Now that he is reborn like a phoenix, Xingxin wishes that the whole world would know that Dr. Sure enough, after Xingxin's hot search came out, it immediately reached the first place, and then everyone knew about this Rongzi cream. At Avian Hospital, after asking Xieting Zhou what he meant, Xie Zhou consulted his son's thoughts and then issued the latest announcement. Iwane Plastic Surgery Hospital officially released the latest announcement, which explains the reason for the development of Rongzi cream. It was because his son Rongzi accidentally injured his face, and then Xie Zhou, a plastic surgeon, developed this cream. Later, the scar recovery situation on Rong 11's face was released, allowing everyone to see the process more intuitively. Not only that, they even talked about product positioning and pricing. Obviously such a good thing can be sold for hundreds of times, but DRCA hopes that everyone can use this ointment when children encounter accidental injuries. So the price is only 200 yuan, which can be said to be very cheap. After all, this cosmeceutical product is a real medicinal beauty product. Generally, beauty products are very expensive. Only then did netizens understand the situation and express that they also wanted to buy it. Where could they buy it? As for Xie Zhou's company, many beauty hospitals have inquired about it before, and now many big hospitals are calling to buy this drug. After all, for hospitals, the most people go to the hospital for treatment after some wounds occur. Yes, there are many such scar removal products in hospitals, and cosmeceuticals are still very popular. So in the following time, Xie Zhou signed contracts with many hospitals, from local to out of town, and even participated in various interviews, not only TV entrepreneurship interviews, but also drug research interviews and so on. When the Liang couple and Liang Chejun took their children to watch Xie Zhou's interview, everyone was extremely excited. After all, Xie Zhou was a person on TV with his own abilities. The sales volume of Rongzi cream has skyrocketed, and Liang Chejun will be asked about it even when he goes out to discuss business. Is Dr. Xie who developed Rongzi cream your husband, Mr. Liang? My partner's son had been noisy before and had a lot of scars from bumps and bruises. After using Rongzi cream, the child's body became clean, so I remembered this matter. Yes, that's my husband. Does Mr. Wang also know about Rong 11's ointment? Hearing her husband's feelings from an outsider's mouth, it was really a very proud feeling, which made Liang Chejun couldn't help but smile on his face. Of course. Who doesn't know about Rongzi cream now? It is said that the country is planning to include Rongzi cream in medical insurance. This Rongzi cream is good. My son used to have very skinny skin and it was inevitable that he would get bumps. My wife always scolded me for this, but now he is better. With Rongzi cream, the scars on my son's body are gone, and my wife is very happy. Mr. Wang said with a smile, thinking that the surname of the Rongzi ointment was Liang. This Dr. Xie was the son-in-law who was rumored to have married into the Liang family. Unexpectedly, he turned out to be a talented person. It is said that Rongzi ointment is out of stock now, at least. It's no problem to make hundreds of millions. Moreover, there are foreign groups who want to purchase this Rongzi cream. If the contract is signed by then, it will probably be a big business worth hundreds of millions. After all, the price of domestic products will also increase when exported abroad, just like the same is true for exports to China. My two sons are also very playful. If there is a chance, you can let Mrs. Wang take your son to play with my two children. I believe they must be very good friends. The business deal was settled smoothly, and after returning home, Liang Chejun couldn't stop smiling. During dinner in the evening, I couldn't help but share the good news with everyone at the dinner table. Mr. Wang, who is working with me today, also asked me about Tingzhou. He said that his son used Rongzi ointment. Many people I know now use Rongzi ointment. Hearing this, the Liang family couple was also proud. The person who showed off the most recently was their capable son-in-law. The same goes for Liang Rongzi and Liang Xian. Their two children are in the first grade. Every time a parent asks, Liang Rongzi is proud to say that this is the plaster developed by his father for him. He is very proud. Although Liang Xian was asked why his father didn't give you any medicine, Liang Xian was not jealous of his brother at all. Instead, he said that his brother had been injured before and it hurt. He was also proud of his father and would not be jealous. Xie Tingzhou has been praised a lot recently, so he can only smile helplessly. If there were all kinds of medicines in the future, wouldn't they be praised every day? Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 308. The life of the Liang family has been very comfortable recently. Their son-in-law and daughter are filial, and their two lovely grandchildren make people happy every day. Liang Qiuxiang and Huang Shutong's moods can be seen to be much better, and they are happy every day. After the family had dinner, they took their two grandchildren to play, and then went to bed after playing, so as not to delay the relationship between the daughter and son-in-law. Although everyone was busy during this period, everyone worked outside during the day and at night. You can definitely come back for dinner, and Xie Tingzhou even occasionally has time to pick up his two children from school, which makes Liang Rongzi and Liang Xian extremely happy. These two children are now closer to their father, Xie Tingzhou. Every time they see their father, they are extremely sticky and insist on letting him go. Xie Tingzhou held one in each hand. Only Xie Tingzhou can enjoy such happy and sweet troubles. After all, the two boys know that their mother is busy with work and cannot overwork her. After the children happily followed their parents and left, Xie Tingzhou also picked up Liang Chejun and went upstairs. The princess hug made Liang Chejun exclaim. He couldn't help but look at the servant beside him and found that the servant was snickering. I kept patting my husband on the shoulder. There's someone else here. What are you doing? This kind of intimacy has never been experienced by Liang Chejun before. Although he is busy with work these days, he has a good relationship with his husband and his son is well behaved and obedient. It can be said that Liang Chejun has no worries and is in a good mood. With Rong 11's anointing, the sale was huge, and her husband also had a lot of assets, which made Liang Chejun even more proud of her husband. Especially after the name of the cosmeceutical company turned out to be Mujun, friends around them who knew about their marriage made fun of them, making Liang Chejun, a strong woman, occasionally shy. It's okay. Everyone is used to our relationship. Besides, I didn't do anything. I just carried you upstairs. What's so shameful about it? It was natural for Xie Tingzhou to let his wife hug his neck. Such a show of affection made the servants lament the good relationship between the two after seeing it. Some of these servants were older and even watched Liang Chejun grow up. Now seeing Liang Chejun happy, I was also happy for the child. Liang Chejun was speechless, but still a little shy. She buried her head in her husband's arms, but her ears turned slightly red. Xie Tingzhou carried Liang Chejun upstairs and returned to his room. After putting him on the bed, he took out his latest product. I developed a plaster for Rong 11 before, and also developed a Chinese herbal mask. After use, it can improve the skin's gloss. It is a relatively good beauty mask. Do you want to try it? Liang Chejun was shy at first, but she didn't expect her husband to suddenly start talking about work, and she was helpless. Okay, let me give it a try. Will this be the company's product in the future? Rongzi ointment is so popular that several factories have been set up, and special areas for growing medicinal herbs have also been arranged. It can be said that Liang Chejun himself also went to help, and even Liang Qiuxiang, as his father-in-law, also found a lot of connections for Xie Tingzhou, otherwise Rong 11's ointment would not have been made known to everyone so quickly. Well, if you agree, I'll take it to the company to make and sell it. If you don't agree, I won't sell it. It's specially given to you. Xie Tingzhou nodded, but he was not short of money. In fact, he could also trade stocks, but sometimes he just didn't want to do it. The Liang family was not short of money, so money was not a big requirement for Xie Tingzhou, and the children were not short of anything either. Let me try. Liang Chajun quickly applied the facial mask with the help of her husband. This facial mask is made of Chinese herbal medicine, so it is also a paste. Apply it directly on the face and wait 10 minutes before washing it off. The cold touch was quite comfortable on the face. Liang Chajun lay on the bed and applied a facial mask. Next to him, Xieting Zhou was reading the recent Mujun Company's account books to Liang Chajun. At first, Liang Chajun helped her husband with the account books, but now she is used to it. This month's revenue is still good. If Rongzi cream is exported abroad next month, the net profit alone can be doubled several times. We have signed a contract with Country M before. When Country M gets it done, we can develop it appropriately towards countries H and R. Girls in these two countries will have more requirements for appearance. Then the price can be increased appropriately and let the customs charge more. For foreign countries, when people make money from us, Liang Chajun, a businessman, naturally wants to earn it back. Okay, I'll do whatever you want. Xieting Zhou was calm. After applying it, it was almost time to wash off the mask. Liang Chajun washed off the mask, and sure enough, he found that his skin was not only smooth and tender, but also a lot whiter. This Chinese herbal medicine is quite powerful for rapid repair, and it smells like grass, making it less likely to cause allergies. Liang Chajun liked it very much. Husband, this facial mask of yours is very easy to use. You can let the company produce it. Have you decided on a name? After Liang Chajun came out, he took Xieting Zhou's hand and touched his cheek to let him feel the touch of the mask. Xieting Zhou carefully touched his wife's cheek, lowered his head and kissed her. Of course I have a name. It's called Liang Myron. What do you think? It was of course self-evident who this beauty Liang was, which made Liang Chajun blush for a moment. After so many years of marriage, he was still moved by such a sudden surprise from Xieting Zhou, and he stretched out his arms to wrap his arms around Xieting Zhou's neck. Is there something wrong? In the past, the Rong 11 cream alone caused a lot of commotion about Xieting Zhou marrying into the Liang family. Now if Xieting Zhou's company releases another Liang Myron facial mask, it will probably be full of yin and yang. Although she was happy, Liang Chajun was still worried about what her husband would think. There's nothing wrong with it. This facial mask is just for you. If you don't want to sell it, I will set up a special production line to produce it for you and your mother to use. Then I can give it to some partners and the like, and you can think about it. It was a gift for his wife, of course. Xieting Zhou knew that this facial mask might be popular and make money, but it was nothing. It was better to make his wife happy. What a pity. Such a good mask must be used by many people. Then I will use it shamelessly. I just hope that my friends will not be jealous of me, she said, burying her head in her husband's neck. She had been so happy recently. Her family was going well, her career was going well, and her relationship with her husband had become inseparable again. Liang Chajun was radiant every day these days. Although many friends reminded her after Xieting Zhou's medicine became popular, Liang Chajun was not worried. After all, Xieting Zhou came to the family as a son-in-law, and now he is about to take off. People outside don't know Ting Zhou's situation, but she, the wife, knows it. After the couple discussed it, the production line of this Liang Myron facial mask was arranged and promoted within a month. This time, unlike Rongzi Cream's low profile, Xieting Zhou invited the most beautiful female stars in the entertainment industry to promote this facial mask, and the sales volume exploded. Cosmetics cannot rely solely on fan sales, but also rely on user feedback. Therefore, Xieting Zhou has also shipped a lot of products to various hospitals he knows. This secret facial mask developed by Chinese herbal medicine is simply amazing after people use it. My face is instantly radiant, even better than those so-called high-end repair masks on the market. Although the price is definitely higher, many people can still afford it. President Wang's plastic surgery hospital is selling well and has increased profits a lot. After all, he is his own person. The price given by Xie Zhou is different from that of outsiders. Now the entire plastic surgery hospital requires Xie Zhou to show up in front of customers every time. Just say hello, and the rest will be handled by the hospital staff, who are busy letting Xie Zhou develop various new products. When netizens once again found out that Beauty Liang was a product specially developed by Dr. for his wife, they felt like they had to eat a mouthful of dog food. Liang Miran's facial mask is very powerful, has strong repairing ability, has a whitening effect, and can be used on sensitive skin, making it a hot item this season. After spending the whole summer, Xie Zhou also came up with things like sunscreen, which made him a lot of money anyway. As Dr's wife, Liang Chujun is simply envied by everyone. After all, the reason why Dr. studied these things was because of his wife's words. His wife said that the sun was too much and the sunscreen she used before was not strong enough, so Dr. we have developed a sunscreen that is moisturizing, skin-friendly and has strong sun protection ability. The new year flies by like this. From last year's Rong 11 cream to this year's various Liang Miran series products, Dr. has become a good man in the hearts of many netizens. Now that we are here in December, the first snowfall in Shangjing this year has come much earlier. On December 13th, heavy snowflakes fell from the sky. Xie Zhou came out of the laboratory and went straight to his wife's company. Naturally, he picked his wife up from get off work. As a result, before anyone arrived on the road, I received a call from my mother-in-law. "Tingzhou, where are you now? Go home quickly, your dad fell down." Huang Shutong was so nervous on the phone that she was about to cry because her husband was interested in taking care of flowers and plants. Seeing that it was snowing, she wanted to tidy up some flowers and plants that were not suitable for outside. As a result, it happened to snow and the ground was wet. If it slips, the person falls down and breaks his leg. "Mom, I'll be back right away." "Have you called 120? Send Dad to the hospital first. I'll be here in about 20 minutes. With Xie Zhou's comfort, Huang Shutong immediately said that she had called the emergency number. After the call was hung up, she looked at her husband who had been helped by the servant to the sofa at home. Liang Qiuxiang was a little embarrassed after being glared at. Although his legs hurt badly, he still respected himself. "Shutong, wasn't I careless? It's not worth it to ask Tingzhou to come back quickly." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletinjian. Chapter 309. I just fell down accidentally and felt a severe pain in my legs. Liang Qiuxiang was lying on the sofa and couldn't move. Although there were servants and housekeepers at home, they were afraid that if they moved, Liang Qiuxiang's legs would be more serious. It would be better to let the doctor in the ambulance come and see how to deal with it. Liang Qiuxiang fell hard, and his knees hit the ground hard. Now both legs were swollen. Looking at his wife's angry look for his fall, although it hurt, he was still very calm, but a little weak. "I said before, don't care about those flowers and plants. How old are you and don't know how to listen? Okay, don't talk now, wait for the ambulance to come, I'll call my daughter." Huang Shutong looked at the blanket covering her husband's legs. She had just seen the red and swollen legs. Her eyes were red as she spoke. Once people get old, they are most afraid of falling. The bones of the elderly are fragile. Some families are afraid that they will die after falling directly. The couple supported each other all the way, and Huang Shutong was most afraid that something would happen to Liang Qiuxiang. Liang Qiuxiang was speechless now. After all, he was in the wrong. He had promised his wife to take good care of himself before, but now he fell down in a blink of an eye. His wife was scared. Huang Shutong called her daughter and found that the phone was on the line. Obviously, this call might be Xieting Zhou talking to his wife, and Xieting Zhou also told Liang Chujun about the family. "Don't worry, I will be home within 20 minutes, and then accompany the ambulance to the hospital. You come back slowly, and don't drive yourself, let the driver take you, and then see which hospital to go to, and meet directly in the hospital. Don't worry, I heard from my mother that the situation should not be very bad." When Xieting Zhou said this, Liang Chujun was panicked at first, and then calmed down immediately. "Okay, then you go first. Mom should arrange to pick up the child. I'll go directly to the hospital." After the two talked for a few words, they hung up the phone. Then Xieting Zhou's car sped on the road. When he arrived at the Liang family's villa, he happened to meet an ambulance. When he ran in hurriedly, he saw that the medical staff had surrounded him. "The patient can't move now. You get out of the way first and let our medical staff handle it." The doctor directed others to start carrying Liang Qiuxiang. "His knee hit the ground hard and might be broken, so it's best not to move now." The medical staff carefully lifted Liang Qiuxiang onto the stretcher and then transported him to the ambulance. "Mom, you and Dad are in an ambulance. I'll drive up." Xieting Zhou's appearance made Huang Shutong feel like she had found her backbone. She nodded immediately and asked, "Have you told Chujun about her father?" Xieting Zhou nodded. "I've already said that I'll call Chujun later and tell her where the hospital is. I've arranged a driver to pick her up. Tell her not to worry too much. It's snowing so hard outside that driving can easily cause accidents. It's rush hour again. Mom, don't panic. I'm here. Maybe this is how old people are. They're afraid of aging and getting sick." Huang Shutong nodded with red eyes. "Okay, thank you, Tingzhou." She got on the ambulance after she finished speaking. While watching over her husband, Xieting Zhou arranged for the housekeeper to take the servants to pick up the two children from school. Housekeeper Cao has been working at the family for more than 20 years and has always had a good relationship with the Liang family. He immediately said that he would make arrangements. After confirming that his son was also picked up, Xieting Zhou hurriedly drove to catch up with the ambulance. The destination of the ambulance is a private hospital. This private hospital is called Huai's Hospital. It is said that it is a private aristocratic hospital specially built by a wealthy boss. It has a good venue, high prices, and also has the function of a sanatorium. It can be said that it is the favorite hospital for many wealthy people. Usually, the two children have physical examinations here. The car arrived at Huai's hospital very quickly, and Liang Qiuxiang was carried in for the doctor's examination. Although he was awake, he felt uncomfortable seeing his wife in pain, but he couldn't help but smile when he saw his son-in-law caring for him. After all, everyone likes to be cared for. After a series of examinations, the doctor transferred Liang Qiuxiang to the general ward after more than 20 minutes. This was already a large and luxurious single suite with the best medical facilities. The wound on the leg had been treated and then various examinations were to be carried out. The final result could be given after the examination. The patient's kneecap was injured due to a fall, that is, there was a slight fracture inside the bone. Generally speaking, there is no big problem. However, the patient's legs are congested and swollen, which must be related to neural blood circulation. The details need to be further observed. Did the patient have any leg symptoms before? The doctor asked and recorded, and Huang Shutong immediately gave the answer. "Doctor, my husband has always had arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. Will these also affect him? Is it okay for his legs to be so swollen?" Hearing these two symptoms, the doctor nodded. "Yes, it will affect the leg. The redness and swelling are caused by poor blood flow. We have prescribed medicine to dredge the blood vessels. We will also have professional nurses perform leg massages and muscle relaxation. The redness and swelling are only temporary and will soon disappear. After the examination, there was actually nothing wrong with it. After all, many examinations were not done. You will know after you have done them again. Where are the patient's family members? Go through the procedures with the nurse, and then the nurse will tell you about the patient's multiple examination items. There may be more items. Don't think it is too complicated, you know. The doctor explained. Sieting Joe nodded, and then followed the nurse to go through the procedures. After returning, he began to take Liang Qiuxiang, who was lying on the hospital bed, for various examinations. Although they were accompanied by professional nurses and doctors, Sieting Zhou and Huang Shutong were also followed all the way. Liang Chujun, who finally came through the traffic jam during the rush hour, finally saw his father who had undergone several inspections. I felt relieved after hearing the doctor say there was no big problem. There is no fracture, but the knee was knocked. It may be because the previous illness damaged the blood vessels, causing congestion in the legs. Massage with medicine will be enough. Dad. Liang Chujun was about to burst into tears. Although she was usually a strong woman, she still felt depressed when her relative was hospitalized. At this moment, her eyes were pitifully red. Liang Chujun like this reminded Liang Qiuxiang of his daughter who had raped and bullied him into tears when he was a child, and he held back the pain. Stop crying. Didn't the doctor say I'm fine? If you keep crying, I'll cry too. As soon as these words came out, Liang Chujun could only blink hard, hoping to hold back the tears. Huang Shutong had already cried, so she didn't say anything with her eyes red. The doctor said that he might have to be hospitalized for a month for observation. At 7 o'clock, Liang Qiuxiang urged Liang Chujun to go home. I'm worried about having two little kids at home. You guys go back quickly. I'm fine in the hospital alone, and there are 24-hour nurses. What are you afraid of? He has always been a strong person, and since he has a caregiver, he doesn't feel the need to have his family with him. Dad, Mom and I don't trust you. Huang Shutong is actually a little worried about her grandson, but with her husband like this, Huang Shutong is reluctant to go home. Mom, Dad is with me in the hospital. You two just go back. Isn't Chujun going to meet with foreign partners tomorrow? You also need to rest quickly. Mom will work harder and go home to help look after Rong 11 and Ziyan. They are still young and there is no one around them. It just so happens that I don't have much going on in the laboratory recently, so I just stay with my dad. Sieting Zhou spoke at this time, which made Huang Shutong and Liang Chujun hesitate. However, Liang Qiuxiang smiled and made the final decision directly. Okay, let's go. Go home quickly and see Rong 11 and Ziyan. Tell them that I'm fine. Don't let the children worry. Chujun, just do your thing and handle the company's affairs in this half month. I have Ting Zhou taking care of me, and Shutong. If you go home and look after the two children, if you really want to see me, just come and see me for a while during the day. Liang Qiuxiang arranged everything, and now no one resisted. Huang Shutong and Liang Chujun could only leave in a hurry under the night, while Sieting Zhou stayed in the hospital to stay with him. Even though there were the most senior nurses here, they were all strangers. How could his own children make people feel comfortable? Liang Qiuxiang became more and more satisfied when he saw the son-in-law chosen by his daughter. At night, Liang Qiuxiang slept, Sieting Zhou was also here, and a senior medical staff kept vigil all night. After all, this is what he earns. For the next week, Sieting Zhou stayed in bed with her and never left the hospital. Huang Shutong would come over to see her husband every day. She was relieved to see that her husband's legs were no longer red and swollen and were slowly recovering. Liang Chujun, who was busy with work, also came here once. Seeing that his father was well, he hurriedly went to work again. For the remaining month, Xietingzhou was almost alone with him. Even so, Liang Qiuxiang became the envy of many old men and women in Huai's hospital. Now my legs are much better. When I was sitting in a wheelchair being pushed by medical staff to bask in the sun, I was sitting with many old ladies and old men in nursing homes. Many people asked about Xietingzhou. Old Liang, you are such a good son-in-law. You are always with me when you are sick. How much better than your son? Everyone who can live in this place is a bit capable, and they all know each other more or less, from the business district, and those who used to be leaders. Naturally, they know Liang Qiuxiang now. Hey, you can't envy this. Although I don't have a son, my son-in-law is no worse than a son. My daughter is busy at work, so my son-in-law is always watching over me. I regard him as my biological son. Liang Qiuxiang was very proud. An old man in the crowd snorted coldly when he heard this, and seemed to be very unhappy. However, this person had been silent here before. Liang Qiuxiang didn't know who the other person was, so he didn't talk to him rashly. Someone just told Liang Qiuxiang secretly that this old man sometimes cursed people when he was angry. The curses were very unpleasant. What did he say? It is better to raise a dog than to raise a child. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 310. Old man, tell me, how did you let your daughter find such a good son-in-law? And he is so good to you. Now everyone in the nursing home knows that Liang Qiuxiang is not only accompanied by his son-in-law, but also his adopted son-in-law. Actually, it's not that the Chinese people look down on their adopted son-in-law, it's just that there are too many stories about this adopted son-in-law, which makes people always so hard to accept. What about reviving the clan for 3 generations, or being extinct? Anyway, if you have only one daughter in your family, you are more likely to be targeted by some men. Even if you are picky and want to choose a good man, it is not something you can say. These elderly people also have daughters in their families. Although they are not their adopted sons-in-law, some of them are divorced and remarried. Anyway, the emotional world of modern people is always so straightforward. Hey, this has nothing to do with me. You have also seen my son-in-law's face. When I was in medical school, my daughter went there as a sponsor to give a speech, and she fell in love with my son-in-law at first sight. This love it's coming, and I can't stop it. Later, I heard my daughter say that they fell in love at first sight. My son-in-law likes strong women, and my daughter happens to be that type. What a coincidence. In the past, my daughter liked to be competitive, and she would always be unable to follow. The young boys were divided into high and low places. It was only after meeting Tingzhou that they became interested in falling in love and getting married. How can I, as a father, stop this? Our family is rich. Even if my daughter finds someone she likes, it won't make any money. Our family can afford it. Liang Qiuxiang had enjoyed the happiness of being admired by the stars. At this time, he was talking about the love story between his daughter and his son-in-law, and he just thought it was so beautiful. But he knew that some of the people he had worked with before, as well as those in the business world, enemies, who hadn't secretly said bad things about him behind his back before, saying that he had built such a career and didn't even have a son, and sooner or later he would give away such a large family property to outsiders. Liang Qiuxiang was not alone. He also had brothers and sisters. But when they found out that Liang Qiuxiang only wanted a daughter like Liang Chejun, and after the sterilization, they even wanted to give his son to Liang Qiuxiang as his heir. They wanted Liang Chejun to die. When Liang Chejun was a child, he was almost kidnapped by his own family. Later, Liang Qiuxiang left his hometown and settled in Shangjing City. Now he has developed so powerfully in Shangjing City, but he has no relatives or friends around him. Anyway, it is enough for him to have a wife and a daughter. Huang Shutong's family was similar. The two of them started from scratch. They had no intention of having children. After Liang Chejun was born, Huang Shutong's biological parents forced Huang Shutong to take his brother's child home as his heir. In the end, they never contacted each other again. Money is good, but it is also enough to see clearly the greed of people. Liang Qiuxiang has seen many sinister people, but he feels that his son-in-law is really caring and the most honest child. That's good. Your daughter is also promising. Such a big group can take care of it as it pleases. It's not like the old Wang family who had many children. As a result, the son directly ruined the business and finished the business. Or my daughter is good, not only is she considerate and has a high IQ, but she can also manage the family business. It would be great to have a son-in-law who can also serve her biological father. Another old man sighed that Liang Qiuxiang was even more beautiful and took out his mobile phone. What's that? How many people scolded me before for not having a son, but now they still envy me. Look at the two grandsons my daughter gave me. Both are named Liang, and they are twins. They look good, right? These two children are so smart. Liang Qiuxiang feels that the best decision he has made in his life is to raise his daughter well and train her to be an excellent woman and leader, not someone else's vassal. Now she can have the opportunity to make her own choices. This is why Liang Qiuxiang did not refuse when his daughter gave birth to two children with different surnames. It was because he knew that no matter what he chose, his daughter would definitely be able to bear the final result. Any choice will have a final result. Liang Qiuxiang has always taught Liang Chejun this way. The twins. They are so beautiful. They are so cute. You can tell they are very smart just by looking at them. I envy them. I haven't seen the twins yet. They came here once last week, right? I saw them from a distance. The two children are so smart. Several people were chattering away, praising the two children so much that Liang Qiuxiang felt like he was floating. He's still young and can't see much. It would be best if he could be as smart as his mother in the future. His looks put his father aside. If he looks good, many people will like him in the future. Liang Qiuxiang said happily, feeling that the friends he met recently were too comfortable, and it was so fun to show off together. Everyone just chatted about home affairs for a while. When they left, there was only an old man left beside Liang Qiuxiang, and Liang Qiuxiang said curiously, "Who is that person who has been silent all this time? Why is he so unsociable and seems unhappy?" The old man who was questioned also sighed and talked about the cold old man. "You're talking about Duan Qiuan, that's who he is." The old man raised his thumb, making Liang Qiuxiang even more curious. After all, one must be very rich or powerful to come to this nursing home. He just has such a bad look on his face. You don't have to worry about it. It's not directed at you, it's just that he's not having a good life, that's why he's like this. The old man said, talking about Duan Qiuan. He used to be a soldier and retired from the army. I can't tell you the specific position, but everyone knows that during the New Year and holidays, many big shots who can only be seen on TV come to give him things. Every time he has a bad face, his eldest son is called Duan Xiao. You have always heard of him, right? As soon as the name Duan Xiao came out, Liang Qiuxiang was stunned. After all, this was a person who could only appear in the news, and he was of high status. The father of such a person actually lived here, not in some military compound. Isn't this too low-key? It is said that he and his wife had a very good relationship back then. When they were stationed on the island, they gave birth to their eldest son Duan Xiao. Later, when they came back, they gave birth to their youngest son Duan Yang. But no one expected that this eldest son Duan Xiao would be like him and he would be born early. He got good grades and joined the army, and he worked his way up step by step. However, his younger son took a wrong path and refused to take the right path. He even made his wife mad. Speaking of this, the old man was a little sad, which made Liang Qiuxiang confused. My own son is so angry that I'm so angry. God, who can accept this? SHH. I only found out about this when I heard someone quarreling. His younger son followed others to do business outside, but he didn't follow the right path. He wanted to smuggle on the reputation of his father and brother, but he didn't get it. Well, he was deceived. After being deceived, he went to steal things from home, and was caught by his own mother on the spot. Then in a rage, he hit his own mother with a bottle from the house, and then disappeared. Liang Qiuxiang was also extremely nervous. It was the first time he heard such profound gossip, and he suddenly felt a surge of sympathy. What happened next? This biological son killed his biological mother. How terrifying this sounds. What else can I do? Old Duan is a tough guy. Even if it was his own son, he would do it directly. The son didn't know there was surveillance installed there, and he was caught right away. Old Duan sent people in directly. At that time, he did it. I heard he was only 25 years old when I went in. He must be 35 now, right? It seems like a life sentence. Hey, I don't know who to sympathize with. It is said that when his eldest son came here last time, he wanted to give it to the younger son. I was begging for mercy to see if I could deal with it as appropriate, but Lao Duan scolded me and drove me away. This. Liang Qiuxiang didn't know what to say. He really didn't expect that this old man was so tough. After knowing that his son killed his wife, he actually sent his son to prison. He was still serving a life sentence. It was really cold. Very hard. But thinking about his wife, if someone hurt his wife, he would feel terribly uncomfortable. He is also a poor person. He sighed, and the old man next to him also said, "It's pitiful. There is no one around now. The eldest brother is busy at work and the second brother is in prison. He often hangs around the garden alone and doesn't talk. It is said that he looks at the photos of his deceased wife every day and has deep feelings for her. It's just that people can't be resurrected, and the world is different." Now Liang Qiuxiang finally understood why the other party's expression was so cold. After all, no one could laugh after such a tragic thing happened to him. After inquiring about Mr. Duan's gossip, Liang Qiuxiang saw Xie Tingzhou, who came to pick him up, and was then pushed into the ward by Xie Tingzhou. "Tingzhou, when will I be discharged from the hospital?" Suddenly, he missed his wife a little, and taking her with her in the hospital was no longer an option. Liang Qiuxiang felt that he wanted to go home. The doctor said it will take another week. "Dad, don't worry. Your body is fine. You are doing well now. I will send you home after a week. Don't worry, Mom will be taken care of by Chu Jun at home. Everything will be fine." Xie Tingzhou comforted Liang Qiuxiang and made Liang Qiuxiang feel relieved. However, after a few days, he did not expect that he had actually witnessed a quarrel. He originally wanted to go to the small park to rest for a while, but he heard the quarrel over there as soon as he reached the edge of the grass in a wheelchair. "Dad, Xiao Yang has really admitted his mistake. It has been 10 years. A man's best days have passed. Can you just bear to have Xiao Yang stay in prison? Aren't these years enough?" The person who spoke was a middle-aged man, but the other person with a cold voice was Duan Qiuan. "In fact, the life sentence can be reduced if you perform well, it just depends on how the sentence is reduced." "Then your mother's life is not life, is it? Who will pay for your mother's life for so many years? Let me tell you, Duan Xiao. If you dare to do it to that beast, if you do it today, I will be killed in the ward tomorrow. Do you believe it? Then I will let the whole world know that I was forced to death by your good son."